Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn, who are all in their 70s, mid to late 70s, that they've got to sort of make some room for them. And I think they're going to have to just try like the Dickens to make a much better showing in the midterms. You know, they've lost 4 straight elections. They've lost 60-plus seats since their high water mark. If she, in opposition, can do what really sort of brought her to the leadership in the first place, which is really wage an unrelenting war and find good candidates and fund them and get them out and get a solid message. If she can do that in the next 24 months, she can probably have a bright future.
You pointed out her Washington, maybe the only good vote counter left in Washington, and she's a liberal. She's a coastal liberal elite. Seen as out of touch with the middle of the country. So when you talk about the future of the Democratic Party, Mark Preston, where is it? What is it?
No, and I think this is the great untold story because, you know, obviously our focus has been, 1,000% on Donald Trump and how he's going to govern the country. But the fact is the Democratic Party is in total shatters right now. And it isn't just Nancy Pelosi. It's also the United States Senate, Democrats there, and it's also state houses across the country. We're going to see...
run by a New York liberal, the Senate is. So you have Chuck
Schumer, by Chuck Schumer. It will be interesting, though, because of his ties to Wall Street. And will go liberal, will he moderate in some places? I mean, we'll see what happens. But we're going to see leaders or perceived leaders of the Democratic Party meet later this week to try to see who's going to be the head of the Democratic National Committee, which has been a position that hasn't really existed the last 8 years. At this point, they need some fresh young leaders in there to come in with new ideas.
Rebecca, let's talk about President Obama's legacy, or at least as he sees it. He gave an interview to Rolling Stone the day after the stunning defeat of Hillary Clinton. So he must have still been reeling, but he didn't let that on because he never really lets that on. And one of the things that has gotten a lot of attention for why he blamed what he said was the cause of the defeat, I'll read it to you. He said part of it is Fox News is in every bar and restaurant in big chunks of the country. But part of it is also Democrats not working at the grassroots level. This has gotten a lot of criticism from his critics who are like, buy a mirror. Some of this was a reaction to you and your policies, not just Hillary Clinton's failed campaign.
Exactly. So I think one of the problems that Democrats are going to have to tackle moving forward is, are they even trying to speak to these people who, for the past 4 years, Fox News has been speaking to? So working class Americans, middle America, does the Democratic Party have a message that appeals to them? And so I think even a lot of Democrats would say that President Obama oftentimes didn't make the argument the way he needed to make it. Fox News took advantage of that, certainly, for entertainment ratings purposes and also for news purposes. But Democrats are going to have to find a messaging solution in the short term because obviously they're non-controlled policy anymore. They need to learn how to speak to these people who Fox News is speaking to, because those are Americans too. Those are voters.
It's not just messaging, is it? Because that's saying, it was what they were told, not what they feel. I mean, the president there is sort of saying that they voted against their interests. Maybe they voted for their interests. He seems to discount that possibility, and he also talks about the grassroots, Errol. You're the leading Democrat. You've been the leading Democrat for 8 years. Don't you bear some responsibility for the grassroots?
Yeah, you're a former community organizer as well, right? So whatever happened to Obama for America and the things that were supposed to build up this core of grassroots organizers across the country, his political legacy, frankly, it's going to, it's a tough loss in this election. 100,000 people across 3 states made the difference. If Hillary Clinton had won, we'd be having a completely different conversation about his legacy. But it didn't go his way, so he's going to have to suck this up. And then as we look at the numbers across the various state houses, across Congress, you start to see that he has not had, politically speaking, a great successful legacy that he's going to be able to point to. Very tough loss for him.
And if they dismantle Obamacare, there goes that legacy.
I wouldn't say if they are. I mean, they are going to dismantle Obamacare. The question is, what are they going to replace it with? And here's a problem for Republicans: overreach, the idea of a mandate. There's no such thing as mandates anymore. I mean, we saw that with George W. Bush in 2004. He thought he had a mandate. Not the case. And I think that if they overreach, they're in for trouble themselves.
He got No Child Left Behind. He got a giant tax cut without a mandate.
Privatization of Social Security didn't happen, though.
No, but he got a lot done. He got a lot done, even though, there was a recount and he lost the popular vote there. Anyway, we can talk about that later.
Later on.
Right.
Later, panel, thank you.
Thanks, guys. A dire scene unfolding in Tennessee's Smoky Mountains. The death toll continues to rise, and raging wildfires coming up.